Okay, so now that the cup stand is done, let's start cracking maybe on the front panels here before we get into the back and start tackling that tank. The front panels are not that detailed. We have some geometry that need to cut in, but for the most part, it's a lot simpler than some of the stuff we've been doing. Let's just go over and take a look at our reference pictures here. Okay, so you can see the left side has no detail on it, which is good. Over on the right side, we have a couple things we need to cut into the actual body. Let's take another look at this picture here, maybe. So we have a screen up here, and you can see that's actually covered by glass, but we do need to make a cut in behind it to punch that screen in a little bit. I think right now we'll just cut it into the body, and then later on we'll figure out how we want to work with the glass over top. I didn't really figure that out ahead of time, so we'll just kind of tackle it as we get to it. This piece here where the dial is, there's really no cuts that go into the body. I mean, obviously behind it has a cut, but we're not going to see that, so we can actually just put this piece over top of what we have and not worry about cutting anything in. The last picture we have here is the bottom piece, and for this one we do need to make some cuts here. You can see we have the on and off switch here, and that's kind of a weird shape. It needs to be cut into the body. We also need to model out obviously this little switch here, and we have a couple of separations here across the panel. Okay, so let's just lay out our edges. Let me just minimize this stuff. Let's grab this piece, and right now it's still attached over to the left side there, and we actually want to separate that. So let's hit Control I to invert the selection and hide everything but the blueprints and this front panel. Okay, so let's jump to the front view here. Let's hit Z to zoom in on it. Turn shading off F3, and let's get rid of this realistic shading. Okay, let's also get rid of those selection brackets again. You can also turn them off by hitting J. Okay, we'll just go into the modify panel with this selected, go to polygon, and we'll just select all the polys on the right side. Okay, make sure you have ignore back facing turned off when you do that. And we'll just separate this out now, so let's go over to detach. Let's just call it maybe front panel left. And make sure you uncheck both boxes here. You want to separate it as a single object rather than clone. Okay, so you're okay to that. Turn off polygon. Let's hide this side now. And we'll just maybe change the color here so it's a little easier to see. Okay, and let's also toggle our transparency. And I'm just going to adjust that material a little bit here, make it a little easier to see. Let's turn this up to maybe 45. Okay, we do also need to add thickness to this piece, but we'll do that after we get these cuts in here. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is just grab this center edge that we have in here and loop it. And we'll also go over and turn our edge constraint here. We don't want to mess up the top edge, so make sure you have that on when you slide these across. Okay, so with that selected, I'm just going to move it over and line it up with that edge on the blueprints. Okay, we'll do a ring on this edge and connect it up with one segment, no pinch, no slide. Okay, and I'm just going to make this planar on Z for a second here. Okay, we want to make sure that we don't cross verts here at the bottom like this. So let's just move it over slightly. Okay, and then we'll control click vertex here. I'm just going to deselect the verts at the bottom here. We'll adjust those later, and we'll just move the edge over now to right about here on that other edge that we have there, and we can adjust these later on. So we'll just leave it like that for now. Okay, so what I want to do here is just kind of lay out where the screen is going to go, and that's right here in this section. And rather than moving this edge up for the top or moving it down for the bottom of the screen, I actually want to leave it where it is. And the reason for that is because when we attached it from that side panel that we have on there, we want to make sure that this vert here stays in alignment with those edges that we had on that piece, just so the curve matches. Okay, so we'll just add a couple of additional edges here by selecting these and connecting them. Okay, we just slide this one down to about there. Same thing here, connect that up, and we'll just slide that up to the bottom, like so. Okay, and now we need a couple more for the sides, so let's ring this edge here and connect it. And we'll just slide this back a bit to about there. Just gonna line up the corner and hit OK, and we'll just adjust the verts here by hand. Okay, so what we're gonna do is grab these two. Bring them over, and we'll just kind of straighten out the edge manually, like so. And we'll just move these over a little bit. Okay, and we'll adjust these a little bit later on. That's pretty good right now. We just want to get the sides of the screen in there. Okay, so let's ring this edge here. Another connect. And that one, we'll just leave it in the position it is. Okay, so that's going to give us enough edges there for that screen to be punched in. We need to do the same thing down here, add some edges for this cut that we need to make. And again, we don't want to move this edge up, so let's add a couple more across this section. Alright, so just drag select these, connect it up. Let's move the edge down to here, and again, make sure you have edge constraint on when you move that. Let's do another one in the center. Let's line that up. Okay, that'll essentially give us enough edges so we can cut in the circle shape. And we might just adjust these vertex here to line them up with what we have in the blueprint. So I'm just going to move this one over, like so. And again, we'll take care of those lower ones later on. Okay, so that should be enough edges for us to get this detail in here. So let's go turn off vertex, back into shapes, and let's grab another circle here. And it's going to draw us out right on this intersection. About something like that. Let's turn the interpolation steps down to 1 again. Let me just change the color so we can see something. Maybe do red. And just to make sure that we're lined up here, I'm just going to snap this circle to this vertex intersection right here. Okay, so with that selected, I'm just going to go up to snaps and right click, make sure we have vertex checked off here. Okay, and then we'll just drag this and snap it to that vert, like so. And then holding shift, we'll snap another copy of it over to this intersection here. Okay, and choose copy. Okay, so this will let us cut around the left side of this circle and the right side of the circle to get that shape that we need. So let's turn off snaps here, reselect the front panel, back over into cut. Let's turn on vertex maybe and our snaps as well, just to make it a little easier. And we're just going to start here at the top of the left circle and do exactly what we've been doing. Just cut around, clicking on each vert. And for the bottom here, we're going to go straight across to this one. We're not going to go up. Okay, so just cut it over here and just follow the right side of this circle all the way around to the top and back to where we started, and right click the end. Okay, so we'll turn off cut there, we'll turn off snaps, turn off vertex, grab both circles in there, if we can select them here, and delete those out. Okay, so now we have the cut in there, let's just quad it up again. So let's grab these two verts here on the corner and connect them. And I'm just going to use my keyboard shortcut to connect these ones up. Okay, so that's all the edges we need to get that shape cut in. Okay, so I think we've got everything that we need. Alright, and our pivot point's kind of way off there, so let's center that up. Let's go to hierarchy panel, effect pivot only, and center object. Turn the button off. Okay, so now what we'll do is just punch it in the screen here at the top. Let's go back to the modify panel, back to polygon, and we'll just select the ones for the screen. These 6 right here. Okay, just make sure you got those in the right place. And what we'll do here is just give it a really slight inset so we have some supporting edges. Okay, we want this to be quite sharp, so let's just do maybe about 1 and okay. And we're just going to extrude it back just a bit here. So let's go over to extrude and we'll just pull that in just a bit. Maybe something like that. Okay, and we can actually use these polygons for the actual screen later on. Let's maybe detach them. So I'm just going to turn off extrude. Let's go over to detach and just detach this as screen. And okay. Select that and we'll hide it. Reselect our panel here. And as you can see on the reference pictures, the corners are quite rounded over here. So we need to round this over a bit. And we could actually probably just do it with a chamfer here. So let's go in here and select that corner edge right there. Let's do this one and the 2 top corners. Okay, we don't want to have any of the side edges here selected, so just do the 4 corners, like so. And let's also maybe just loop it so we get these little chamfer, or these little cornerwise edges here. Okay, so do a loop. And just let me zoom in here, and we'll just chamfer this out. Okay, we don't need 3 segments, let's do 1. Take that down quite a bit. Let's look at the front view here. Okay, we don't want it to be super rounded over, but let's do maybe like, I don't know, maybe around 3 or 3.2 or something like that. Or just 3 to make it easy. Okay, and okay. Alright, now we need to take care of this extra polygon that we have here. So let's go back to target weld. And we'll just weld these verts down. Okay, to clean that up. It's going to give us an end on there, but it shouldn't be a problem. So we'll just see how it looks when we smooth it first before we worry about fixing it. Let's get these ones up here. And finally these ones to these ones. Okay, and if you want to straighten out these edges, you can. Let's just turn off target weld there. And we'll just grab the verts. And again, make sure you have edge constraint on. And we'll just slide this down to straighten it out. Let's pull this guy up just a bit. Okay, so that should take care of that screen for us. Now let's go down here to the bottom. And we'll grab these 6 polygons that make up the hole here. And we'll do pretty much the exact same thing here. So let's inset this. And again, we want this to be super sharp, so let's do about 1. And we'll extrude it in. And this one we can actually go in quite a bit because we'll have a piece that sits in there and we'll cover it up. Alright, so we'll take it in something like that, turn off extrude and delete these polygons. And let's just add an extra loop on the inside edges here. So let's bring those, connect it up, slide it out to the front, something like that. Okay, and that should be all we need to do for those pieces. Again, we can build this piece later on top of the surface. But one thing we do need to do is add some thickness to this piece. So let's do that. Another thing I want to make sure we do is add some support down the sides, and I'm just wondering if we should do that now or later. Let's maybe do it later. Just going to adjust some of these verts a little bit more down at the bottom here. You can see it's a little bit messed up. I'm just going to move this over a little bit. And let's actually just grab both these loops here. Just going to space these over a little bit so we have a little bit more room. And again, you know, this isn't really a big deal how this is laid out. Alright, let's just straighten this one out maybe just a bit. Okay, so let's add some thickness now. And we're not going to do it with the shell, we'll actually do it by hand. And the reason for that is just, it's going to give us a lot of problems if we try to shell this on the back. So let's just do it quickly by hand. Let's start by just looping both outside edges here. Okay, and that should go all the way down to the bottom and up to the top for you. Alright, so I'm just going to kind of go on the side angle here, hold down shift, and drag this back. And let's hit Control Z, make sure we turn off our edge constraint first, and just shift drag that back. Okay, we don't need it to be super thick. Let's go maybe something like that. And we're going to do the same thing with the top. So let's loop that edge. Deselect this one, and shift drag that out. Okay, we'll just look at this maybe in the side view. Okay, that's pretty good. Alright, so just bring that out as far as you brought out the side edges there. And we'll just weld up the corners. Okay, so we're going to have 2 verts right here, so let's weld those. And 2 verts over on this side, weld those. Okay, and we'll go down to the bottom and do the same thing here. And because of the shape of the bottom here, it's going to be a little bit weird, so we're going to need to kind of adjust the placement of these verts in the side view here first. Right, so let's go all the way down to the bottom here. So I'm going to switch this to my right side. Let's go into wireframe here. Okay, and you can see it's a little bit bent, but that's not a big deal. What we want to do is we want to have this edge here going vertically. And to do that, we're going to need to just pull this stuff around. So what I want to do first is move these verts up like this, and these ones straight up like this. Okay, we'll kind of try to maintain the same thickness. Okay, we can actually move these, this one here and this one up a little bit as well. And you can see we're a little whacked out on the side there, but we'll fix that in a second. Let's move these up slightly. Okay, we'll see what's going on here. Let's go into the front view here. And when we extrude that out, it kind of pushed it in, so let's just pull these over. Okay, we'll line them up with the outside edge just so everything's nice and straight. like that. Okay, and that corner's fine. Alright, so I want it just to be kind of even all the way around here, and then we can simply just extrude up this edge here and weld up the corners. Okay, so let's do that. Let's loop this edge, deselect that one, and shift drag this up. Okay. And let's just check it out here in the side view. Let's bring it up to right about there. Okay, and we'll just close up the gaps here by welding the verts over. Okay, we don't want to just weld them, we want to actually target weld this vert here over to this one, just so we maintain that side profile. Okay, so let's target weld this one right here, and over on this side they should be on top of each other, so we'll just select both and weld them. Okay. Next thing we'll do is we'll support the shape here again. So back to edge, let's ring this corner edge here. Okay, and again just check and make sure that goes down, and it won't go by this one here because we have an end gone. So just control click this edge and this one and ring again. Let's get this one as well. Okay. Alright, so just make sure that ring goes all the way down, and then we'll just connect it up here with one segment, and we'll slide that over, and we want it to be pretty sharp, so let's do about 90. Okay, we'll do the same thing over on this side. Okay, and again just make sure you get these extra edges here and ring them. Whoops. Okay, we'll connect that up. Let's slide this back a little bit towards the inside, and we'll just try to even it out here by eye. Okay, and the top is going to be a lot closer again than these ones down here because these polygons are a lot narrower. Okay, so we're going to need to line it up here and then adjust these verts to kind of even this out. Let's do something like that. Okay, and then we'll just go into the front view here and try to even this out a bit more by hand. Alright, so I'm just going to select these verts here. Actually, let's just do the two at a time. Alright, so let's just move this over slightly. Deselect that one, move that one over a little bit more, and just keep working your way down until you kind of get it evened out. And we'll just do all those ones in a single shot. Okay. And now we also need a loop around the top here, so let's go back to the front view and let's zoom in at the top. And you can do a ring and a connect, or you can just use quick slice here to cut this in. Alright, so we'll start here and just cut it across like that. And down at the bottom we'll just do a ring. Okay, so once again, ring this edge and connect it up and just slide that back. Okay, and when you're doing this, you want to look for, if you want the edges to be even, you want to look for a square shaped polygon on the corner here. You don't want to have it like a rectangle like that, else it's not going to be the same hardness of the edge all the way around, if that makes any sense. Okay, so you want to do it maybe like that. And we'll just pull these verts here up a little bit. Going to turn my edge constraint back on, just slide this up so it's kind of even. Okay, and finally one more edge loop, and that's just around the sides here. Okay, so ring that. That should go around the entire thing. So let's connect it up to one more segment, and just bring that down to the other side. About there, and okay. Alright, so I think that's everything we need to do. Let's put a turbo smooth on and see how it looks with two iterations and ice line. Okay, and the screen looks a little bit soft there. I might need to add a couple of additional edges. That looks pretty sharp, and the curve looks okay. Okay, so let's go back to edge here. I'm just going to select these and these ones and connect them up with one segment right in the center. Okay, and we could easily fix this end guide by just cutting an edge over. I don't really want to do that just because I don't want to have a hard spot over here. So for an earnest view, we'd have to terminate that edge, but I don't really want to do that right now because I want to make sure that this matches up as much as possible with that side edge. Okay, so let's unhide all here, and we'll see how this is fitting together. Okay, and at the top here you can see that we have this kind of sticking through each other right here. Okay, and the reason for that is because this piece coming up the inside is straight all the way from the bottom up, and we actually have ours curving in a little bit here. So we need to kind of offset that by just bringing these verts back a bit until they line up, so the top of this piece is actually tapered. And we can do that just in the side view here quite simply by just going back to vertex, grabbing these verts here, and just pulling them over. Okay, and we'll just do this a little bit at a time here. Okay, let's just make it planar maybe. Select these again and make planar on, which one is it? Oh, let's make sure we turn off our edge first, then we'll do it on X. There we go. Alright, so just going to pull this over and line it up with that edge in there, like so. Alright, and just make sure that didn't whack anything out as far as shape. Okay. Alright, so let's turn off vertex, turn back on our smooth here, and we'll just see if that looks a little bit better. Okay, that's a lot better than what we had. And I think later on we might extend these side panels just slightly so we have a little bit of a reveal here, just to get a nice shadow on that edge. Right now they're pretty much exactly lined up. Okay, so we can do a similar process over on the left side here, and it'll be much simpler because we don't need to do any cuts. So let's grab that. Let's just hit Alt Q maybe to go into isolation mode. Center the pivot. Okay, so we can rotate around this thing properly. And we'll go back into the front view one more time. And we'll just add some edges here. Okay, so let's do a ring right here. And a connect with one segment. Turn our edge constraint. And we'll just pull this over to the side for a support edge. Right about there. Same thing over here. Let's ring these ones and connect them up with one segment. And let's actually hit Control Z. We'll just slide that over to make it a little easier here. So I'm just going to slide that over to the side. Slightly wider than what we had on the right side there. Okay, and we'll just kind of adjust the verts. So let's Control click vertex one more time. Deselect those center ones. And we'll just kind of space this out wherever we need to. Let's deselect this one as well and just move these over slightly. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to deselect everything down to that bottom edge. And we'll just work our way down like we did on the other side. Just like that. Okay, and let's go up to the top here. Let's just do the slice right now. And so I'm just going to cut an edge in there like that. Turn that off, go back down to the bottom. And do a ring on this edge here. Whoops. Okay, so ring and a connect. There we go. I'm going to do that a little bit tighter here. Just a bit like that. Okay, now we'll just extract out those borders. Okay, let me just change the color here so we can see this a little easier. Let's loop the side edges again. Okay, so select one on each side, do a loop. And we'll just shift drag that back on the y-axis and make sure you take off the edge constraint. Okay, just like that. Loop the top edge and just deselect these ones. And just roll up the corners here. Okay, and down the bottom we'll just make the same adjustment here in the side view. Okay, so let's grab this one and these two. I'll bring it up like that, deselect this one. Let's bring it up like that maybe. Okay, we can also probably move this up slightly. Okay, and one more edge here, we'll just loop this and just bring that up. Okay, and this one will be a little bit more straight on the inside here. The outside looks pretty good as well, so we can probably just weld the corners. Okay, so grab those two verts and weld, these two and weld. Okay, just make sure you have only one vert selected after you do the weld. Okay, and finally, one more loop around the outside here. Let's tighten it up a little bit more. Okay, we don't want it to be too soft looking. And we might need to actually move this loop here a little bit over. It looks a little too far away, so let's just loop this. And now that we've already adjusted that curve, we can actually just slide it a little bit to the side here. But we want to make sure we turn on our edge constraint first. And we'll just slide that over. Like that. Okay. So now let's put it on turbo speed and see how it looks. Okay, so we're looking pretty good. Let's exit isolation mode and just see how it fits on the actual body. Okay, and again, we're going to have that same problem at the top here where this is sticking through this other piece. So let's fix that quickly. Okay, so we'll go back to the left view. Let's go up to the top, zoom in, grab these and turn off our edge constraint and make planar on X. And just pull these over and line them up with this edge here. Okay, so just make sure that's fitting correctly. It looks pretty good. It looks like we have that sticking through at the bottom a little bit there. So let's grab these pieces as well as this. Okay, so just grab the cup stand group as well as that inside piece. We're just going to slightly move this up so that it's not sticking through the bottom there. Okay, you can see that's right there. All right, so let's just slightly move it up. Okay, we don't want to go too high, so just enough to clear that edge there. Maybe a little bit more. Okay, so I think we're looking pretty good. Alright, and we're getting there. We just have a lot of work to do on the back, but most of the body's done. We still need to put obviously in some of the details here, which we'll do next. And I don't believe we forgot to do anything so far. Okay, so make sure you save your scene as well. Like I didn't say that so far, but I'm always constantly saving, and you should always save, you know, every 5 to 10 minutes at the most.